The Proxy Bride, written and narrated by Cassie Hamer. It is Rosa's last night on the MV Toscana, and she would quite like to die. The boiling sea has muddled her insides, stomach in mouth, heart in knees. The cabin is stifling and the vessel is in delirium, pickled by sea salt and alcohol. Above her, from the dining hall, the piano accordion wheezes and gasps a slurred tune. Heels and toes keep syncopated time on the wooden floorboards. Below her, the bunk vibrates as the ship's engines power and shudder through the swell. Rosa, Rosa, vieni alla festa, adesso! Rosa, come to the party, now! Through the keyhole slides Maria's voice, lubricated by alcohol and hoary with cigarettes. But Rosa does not want to go to the party. She wants to die. She wants Mamma to smooth the hair on her forehead and bring her stale ciabatta and acqua minerale. She does not want to be this message in a bottle at the mercy of tides and currents. No, sto male. I'm sick. Rosa rolls with the ship and her stomach heaves in time with both. Tomorrow night, he will be in her bed. Mamma has said it will hurt, but she is not to cry. The blood will please him. Her stomach reels again. Va bene, Rosa. Okay. From the unsteady beat of Maria's footsteps, Rosa knows she is stumbling down the hallway, lurching from side to side. For Rosa, sleep is a butterfly beyond reach. Instead, she practices her English. Like a baby trying new fruit, she lolls her tongue around the foreign words, tasting and testing them, and swallowing the sound in her throat. My name is Rosa. How do you do? What is your name? The words are a lullaby, talking her to sleep. In her dreams, the ocean's white caps are the ghostly fingers of souls lost at sea, grasping at the resolute little boat to pull it under and join them in eternal rest. It is the silence that wakes her. Are they still sailing? Rosa shimmies out of the bunk, past Maria's pale and snoring face. The girl is nocturnal. For all the passengers, the voyage has been dreamlike for its strange configuration of people and behaviours. On this boat, they are not themselves. There is no cooking, no cleaning, no work. They are between lives, adrift. Sitting on her bunk, Rosa pulls on the silk stockings she has been saving. The rest of her trousseau is stowed safely in the hold. There is Mama's porcelain dining set, the lace tablecloth that comes out at Christmas, and napkins Mama used for her wedding day. All that is new is a chemise for later and the stockings. Word on the boat is that one of the English ladies has nylons, but she has a cabin on the upper deck, and it is only a rumour. In the bathroom, Rosa pinches her cheeks for colour. Maria has promised to loan her some rouge, but there is no thought of waking her now. She adjusts the wool duster coat, the same one she wore for the photo she sent him. The one of him is in her pocket. She doesn't need to look, for his face appears whenever she closes her eyes, pushing through the greeny redness. She touches the picture, though, rubs it like a talisman. The surface is even smoother than the silk lining of her pocket. She repeats the words Mama said. Good hair, white teeth, not too skinny, a good man. Hopefully he has not changed. She remembers him a little from childhood, hide and seek in the olive trees with all the other kids of the village, but that was before the war, before all the men went off to fight and his family moved south to be with his aunt and cousins. Up on deck, the morning is blue velvet. The ship leaves a caterpillar trail of smoke. A deckhand is clearing the streamers from last night's party, but stops when he sees her. He leans on his broom and points to the water. Derwent, Derwent. She repeats after him, Derwent. But perhaps her pronunciation is no good, for the young man shakes his head at her and resumes sweeping. As the sun arcs into the sky, the ship's occupants emerge slowly onto the deck, blinking like pippies brought to the sand surface. The river is wide and blue, but the land is flat and unimpressively empty. Disappointment ripples through the crowd. They were expecting paradise. With a gentle bump against the pier, the ship delivers Rosa into her new life. The dock is curiously deserted. No streamers, no band. Here they are not known. There is no family. They are new and friendless. He is easy to spot, dark eyes flitting across the deck before they come to rest on her. He's slimmer than in the photo. Through a scudding heartbeat, she smiles. He gives a half-hearted wave in return, his hand dropping quickly as Maria, now standing beside Rosa and smelling of musty wine, starts blowing kisses. "Smetila, stop it!" Rosa hisses. "What? It's my husband!" It is then Rosa notices the other dark-haired man running down the pier and waving his cap, the husband Maria has not seen in 2 years. Cara mia! Cara mia! My darling, he shouts. Tears have streaked Maria's rouge. Her smile is tight. Does she cry for what has been or what is to come? Rosa is suddenly aware of an ache in her finger where the cool breeze has settled on the silver of her wedding band. It is slightly too small, but he has promised a new one for the ceremony tomorrow before they leave Hobart for the hydro. There will be a priest and one family member, a cousin who works with him. "You do this for the children," said Mama. "They will want the photo." Her wedding dress is in the trunk, wrapped around the dinner setting. Her veil just fit inside the tureen. There is a small red wine stain on the hem where Papa was too excited. It is not every day your daughter marries, even if the groom is half a world away. But she thinks her husband will not notice the mark. The gangplank is lowering. "Rosa, in bocca al lupo." "Rosa, good luck, into the mouth of the wolf." Maria will be living in Hobart, and the hydro is 2 hours away. Rosa does not expect to see her again. The pair embrace. "Crepi il lupo, Maria." "And to you, Maria, may the wolf croak." With her bouncing stride, Maria makes the gangplank wobble to the point where Rosa must cling to the handrail. Her palms are greasy. Clicking heels will be the last she sees of the older girl. For the first time in weeks, Rosa steps onto dry land. She sways from the firmness, the solidity. She's not used to such steadiness, and he rushes to take her hand. "I've got you," are the first words she hears from her husband's mouth as she stumbles before straightening. She drops his hand. "I'm sorry." The apology is shrugged away. "Is this all?" He gestures to the small trunk in her hand. "No, there is another coming. The trousseau." The crew is starting to unload the hold, and Rosa and her husband stand together in silence until her case is placed alongside all the others. Their hotel is not far, and he decides they will walk. "Battery Point." He nods over the pier to a small piece of land jutting into the river. "The government?" "A sandstone building." "Mount Wellington." He lifts his eyes skyward. "That is a mountain?" It is nothing like the ones at home, which are sharp-edged and snow-capped and graze the clouds. This one is squat and fat, with houses dotted into its protective foothills. A nonna with grandchildren coddled into the folds of her dress. As they walk, she is aware of his breathing, laboured by the strain of carrying 2 trunks. She has never listened so closely to a person's breath, the way it's catching in his throat as it constricts with effort. She supposes this is what it is to really notice someone, to be married. Their room is up a narrow set of stairs above some kind of public bar. As he fumbles with the key, she is sure he must hear her heart beating. Will he want it now, or will they at least wait until the sun has set? When the door opens and he stands aside to let her through, she can barely walk and her teeth chatter out of control. There are 2 beds, skinny but definitely separate. The 1-foot gap between them may as well be an ocean, and Rosa reaches for the wall to hold her up. He has not spoken since pointing out the bathroom on the landing. "I have a letter from your mother," says Rosa, and she starts busying herself with the trunks that he has placed in the corner. The bed creaks as he sits, frowning. "She is well, and your father too. Your little brother has a cough, but it is nothing to worry about." She is babbling but cannot seem to stop. "The summer has been terrible. All the village is suffering. There is no water for anything. Since the war, you are so lucky." At that he sighs, and Rosa falls silent. She concentrates on the clips and curses herself. No one is lucky, but here they are, alive. Finally, the lid of the trunk is free, and she opens it to find great creamy swathes of fabric, the wedding dress she swaddled so carefully about the plates in the tureen. She digs in with archaeological purpose, but instead of finding smooth porcelain, her fingers are met with hard, grainy edges that threaten to cut her skin. A vision of her trunk being tilled about by the ocean brings a wave of seasickness that Rosa tries to swallow away. The first plate is broken in 3. The second is in 4 pieces. The third is shattered as well. They all are. The trunk is littered with shards. She bows her head and coughs, shamed by her tears. But silently he kneels beside her, and together they begin to arrange the pieces on the floor. They could be children doing a jigsaw puzzle, but to Rosa they are grave robbers picking through white bone. In the trunk there is 1 piece left, the tureen. To Rosa's surprise, it is intact. She splays her hands around the cool basin and cradles it with the care of a new mother. "The letter is in here," says Rosa, "and my veil." He nods, and she indicates for him to take it, which he does. But the brush of fingertips is so unexpected, so warm, that Rosa lets go of the tureen and it falls to the ground with a great smash. For a second there is silence. Then there is a howl of despair, and Rosa is shocked to discover that it is hers. What does it matter? There is nothing left now for her to lose. She becomes aware of a hand on her shoulder. She looks at the man she does not know but is expected to love. Gently, he pulls her head towards his chest and smooths her hair as she sobs into him. "Shh," he croons, "we will make it right." And as she feels his heart beating loud and strong and sending blood to all corners of his body, she is inclined to believe him. Thank you for listening to The Proxy Bride. I wrote this story in the year I turned 40, a milestone I celebrated by travelling for the first time to Hobart in Tasmania with my husband. As part of the trip, we were supposed to do an adventure boat ride to see the dramatic cliffs of the island's southeast corner. But when we woke, it was wet and windy, and the trip was cancelled. Instead, we visited the Museum of Tasmania, which had a fantastic exhibition featuring household and other ephemera belonging to migrant women of the state. One of the items was a ceramic soup tureen belonging to Gilda Fabrizio. According to the plaque accompanying the tureen, Gilda was a proxy bride who sent her photo from Italy across the world in the 1950s to Vincenzo, a young Italian man who was working on the Tasmanian hydro project. And he in turn sent a photo to Gilda. The marriage was arranged and the weddings took place with the photos used as stand-ins. They'd never even met each other in real life. Now, Italy was in a mess, so you can imagine that Gilda's family was pretty happy to see her head to greener pastures, but of course, being good Italian Catholics, wanted it to be within the sanctity of marriage. So off she went with a few prized possessions, including a dinner set for 12, which featured a soup tureen, the one piece still intact after all these years and still residing in the museum. I saw it and I was blown away by the story, the bravery of it, of travelling across the world to meet a husband that you'd never actually met before and make a new life for yourself. I thought it would make a terrific story about internal angst and missing home and also of hope. I also decided that to amp up the drama that the tureen would need to break, adding to Rose's sense of loss. I just couldn't help thinking how strange this new land must have seemed to her. Anyway, the story received a highly commended in a short story competition and went on to be published in an anthology of the best Australian stories for 2017. I hope you also enjoyed it. I'd love to know what you think. If you'd like to leave a rating or a review or a comment, that would be fantastic. Thanks again.